Jack and Jill here.
Hi.
Welcome to the JackJill Show, entertaining real estate investment talk. I'm Stephen Jack Butella.
And I'm Jill DeWitt, broadcasting from sunny Southern California.
Today, Jill and I talk about marketing land 101, which seems really fitting, Jill, because I know you just got off the phone and sold a 40-acre property.
Every time I do that, I learn more about it. You know what I mean?
It's amazing that how much you learn just from one phone call.
I know.
From a land buyer. Even we've been doing this since the 90s.
Exactly.
And every single time I talk to even a Land Academy member about their experiences, I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the show here, is to share our experiences so you can skip 20 years.
Exactly. That's for sure.
So what happened, real quick, what happened with,
I'll tell you on the show.
Oh, all right. Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the JackJill.com online community. It's free.
Thank you. And it's on landinvestors.com, by the way. That's where you go to find this. Okay. Neil asks, this was my first county mailer, and I think it perfectly reflects why eventually it's better to target subdivisions separately with more specific pricing. Ding, ding. To quote you, Jack.
Yeah.
Stephen.
Well, go ahead. We'll finish the question.
Okay.
I have lots to say about pricing and targeting.
Okay. I'm getting a good response, but one signed and returned offer in the subdivision of my choice, New Mexico, makes me think that this offer was way too high, despite it being less than the 20% of the assessed value per the county and less than 25% of the going market value general to the county on Land Watch and LandPin.
I want to stop you right there for 1 second.
Okay.
We never advocate using the assessed value for pricing.
It's true.
Never. It's assessed value is very different county to county and extremely different state to state. If you've ever looked at your property taxes on your house, you know that.
And they're often behind. I think they're always behind.
Here's the good news, Neil. You got the first one out of your way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good first mistake.
That's more than way more people. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. My offer worked out to be $262 per acre for a 5-acre parcel. So it was $1,311.
Not bad.
I am now trying to do my due diligence in the area and work more specific to the subdivision, but I'm also not finding any sold comps. And I'm looking in Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, Realtor. So it's hard to feel good about my offer price for this particular parcel, especially when it's not exactly enriched with Jack's 4 A's. And he puts in here's what's the things. It's barren, flat with not even a bush. It looks like the parcel's locked in there. No physical barriers to the road. I don't know, but only affordable if I priced well. This is why you're here. You're getting all this stuff out of the way. Okay.
Right.
In short, my first query is that I would love anyone's input on what else I might try to help me better approximate its value.
Good.
I thought I might try a local realtor
right there.
or a surveyor in the area, but felt that the best advice would probably come from other land investors familiar with the area.
Exactly.
Good question.
This is an area of New Mexico that Jill and I have done a tremendous amount of successful investing in, land flipping specifically. Neil, here's the good news. You're asking all the right questions. You had what it takes to get an offer in the mail, and you're buying a piece of property. Those are all great things. So let's kick up the education just a couple notches forward here. Mm-hmm. What do you say?
Yes, go. I mean, are you going to add something? Or is that is that the answer?
Jill's still reeling from this 40-acre phone call, I think.
No, I'm not.
Sales phone call.
No, I think
thing. She's on a little bit of a sales high, I think. I like it.
So this is a great question, and so. Okay, so let's...
I'm paraphrasing. His question is, how can I do this better next time? So number one, I already mentioned it. Please don't use assessed value ever when you're pricing an offer campaign. We've said it over the years on this show.
You want to explain why? Can we really say why?
Yeah, because everybody in every municipality, whether it's a city, county, state, or even, well, not so much the feds, but a city, county, state has a different way to assess property. Why do we assess property? Or why do they assess property? So they can send us a tax bill every year, or in some cases 2 times a year. That's all it is. It truly, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, has nothing to do with the value of the actual property.
It's true.
Jill and I live in a block where we almost live in the same house as all of us, give or take. And some of our property taxes are $60,000 a year, and some of them are $1,200. Do you think the county made a mistake there? And I don't want to get philosophical about this, but yeah, they're not in the business of valuing real estate. They would argue with that, and we have assessors in our group that argue with that. But I'll tell you right now, who's better at it? The assessor or you? And you are us.
Well, can I add one thing to this too about assessed value? It's usually something that triggers them to reassess your property. So a lot of properties might be right like a sale. So if there's no transactions in your area, nothing's for sale, and so there's no reason for them to relook at this area. They're not going to change it. And then one sale comes in, and then it's months by the time
years.
They go out and they look at it and they measure whatever
methodology they use to adjust the assessed value of your property. No one really knows. And
then it's 1 and 2 years traditionally behind. And I mean up in value or down in value. So that's the thing. The bottom line is it's just not it's not an accurate gauge of what the property's worth. What is an accurate gauge is what people are willing to pay.
Exactly. So where do you get that data? Because I'm a data person. You sit there in a spreadsheet. You're looking at the assessed value. You're like, oh, wait, it goes up and down and up and down. That's what it must be worth. And I'm not picking on you, Neil. It's a rookie mistake. I've actually made it. And it makes sense. It logically makes sense.
It does, because you think, it's assessed at this.
Jill nailed it. What matters is what's for sale and what's been sold. You've heard of comps. For land, it's Neil alludes to this later on in his question. It's real hard to find sales comparables for rural vacant land.
It's true.
So what do we do? And this is all in the program, all in the cash flow from land program. I walk you through it step by step. What do? You take a look at what's existing and for sale, and then you price yourself at least half of what that is when you send out a mailer. So I'm really skipping along the top of all the details that really have to go on, and again, I cover it in our education products, but please don't use assessed value.
I want to back up too, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And then, so my final point here is about the 4 A's.
I was going to bring that up too.
Go ahead, Joe.
No,
what are the 4 A's? Can you remember?
Can I remember?
It usually takes 2 of us to remember the 4 A's.
I got it. You're hilarious.
Affordability, lower is better. Acreage, higher is better. This is for land only. Attribute, like beautiful mountain views, 10 minutes to the Grand Canyon. And access. And you always want access.
You're correct.
I did remember it. So I know this area of New Mexico incredibly well, and I have to disagree that there's no attributes. It's right along the Manzano Mountains. It's about 25 miles from Albuquerque. This is in a subdivision. You chose well.
Yeah.
It's in a subdivision where there's fully functional ranches. Like, you can drive through there. It's like a movie.
Yeah, see horses.
There are horses, and there's wild horses even.
It's really cool.
Well, you don't see, when you're looking at it, I'm sure on Google Earth, and you might be doing it from a big city. This comes up all the time with Jill and I. Somebody sees a beautiful, beautiful life, and what you see is barren and potentially no access. That's someone's dream.
Someone's dream is just to own a piece of property. They almost don't care what it is if that fits their price range.
Your dream might be to own a penthouse in Manhattan, New York, and live there happily. That's not my dream.
Right.
We were just talking about this earlier today. I can't get Little House on the Prairie out of my head.
Isn't that funny? We were talking about that. That's your dream, and mine was a beach house. So I like cabins. I have fun. So, but this is the best for me. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, and one last point. So, and Neil, you're really we talk about a lot of things on the show, but the way you price real estate, it really depends on what type of real estate it is. You're kind of mixing up houses and land pricing and mailing. They're really separate. If you go back to our podcasts that are, you read through the titles about houses, it's really specific how to price houses and how to price land. In fact, the last 2 days, the titles are how to price houses and how to price land the last 2 days of the podcast. Cool. So that should really help.
Yeah.
Today's topic, Marketing Land 101. You've bought it. Now what do you do when you sell it? This is the meat of the show. Jill, please kick us off with your 40-acre story that you just got off the phone with somebody who I think, did you close the deal or they send it?
He wants to go. You know what's funny? He wants to go out there and see it. And I said, that's fine.
Good.
He's like, do you mind if I go out and do that? And I said, no, absolutely. So, I asked a little bit about what he's looking for. And I'm kind of actually, I'll tell you what I'm trying to do in the beginning. I'm trying to figure out if they're a tire kicker or not. And this guy, that's because if they're a tire kicker and they're just now picking up the phone going, hey, baby, I think we should invest this $50,000 we just got in some property or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And they know nothing. Don't spend much time with them because all it is going to do is take all up all your time.
Who's hey, baby? Or say, is it
his wife?
Sellers? Oh, okay.
No, they got whoever's.
I thought guys get on the phone and they say, "Hey, Jill, baby."
No, his wife. So he's got this money.
Darn.
No, and he's thinking about doing something. So you are in goof off mode, and I'm in business mode today. That's how weird is that? Sorry.
I wanted to get angry with some guy who calls you, "Hey, baby."
Nope, sorry, wasn't.
Couldn't even get mad
that.
about that today.
Nope. So the point is, so when you're first taking these calls, you have a piece of property. It's posted out there, and we'll get to all that in a minute here, but. You get this call. That's like, I got this guy. So I'm trying to first, ascertain if he's even legit. And he is legit. And I asked what he wants to do with it. And what he wants to do is he wants a place to take us. He's obviously lives in Phoenix area. And I could tell with the phone number coming in. And this is up in Apache County that he's looking for some land that this couple hours drives away. He wants to be able to go up there, hunt, take their camper, spend some time, and then eventually he might want to live there. And he actually already done some homework too, which I appreciated. He's like, yeah, depending on how it goes, I might pop something down there where we drive our own water up and we have a generator and we have solar. I said, see, right? I was like,
those are all good things.
Right? I was really happy. I'm like, all right, this guy's doing his homework. And I was talking to him, I said, isn't that great how easy it is nowadays? Back when we started in the 90s, it was not as easy to do all this stuff. Nowadays, you could buy a prefab, ready to go
drop a house
thing.
in there, yeah.
Exactly. And just roll it up there and take the wheels off if you want, or leave them on. You know what I mean? But it's so nice nowadays. Anyway, so we're talking about that. And his questions were really about the transaction, which was really good. So that tells me too he's further along. He's got it picked out. He actually owns property near Williams.
Oh, that's good.
In Coconino County.
These
so he knows about it.
Good signs.
His wife likes Apache, likes the St. John's area. I said, yeah, because we talked about that. I said, yeah, it's a great area. You can get, for the same price as what you paid in Coconino, you can get more property. He says, yeah, I noticed that. I said, yeah, it's great. So they're going to probably go up there. And he's like, do you mind if we go check it out? And I'm like, knock yourself out. I said, nothing would make me happier than if you spent the weekend on it and fell in love with it. So I'm like, go for it, kind of thing.
Excellent.
Can't hurt it.
So let's talk about Marketing Land 101 and why Jill got that phone call in the first place. And should she have taken the call? These are all philosophical things that I'll tell you, there's a mix of them that really have historically worked for us extremely well. We're going on 16,000 completed deals. Number one, when you're purchasing the property or you're in the process of purchasing it and you're pretty much sure it's going to go through, anything can happen until, at the bitter end. But when you're just about done purchasing the property, you need to start posting it, collecting pictures of the land. You can decide whether or not you're going to send somebody out there to take pictures or yourself if you're brand new. Posting is the key. You got to post it on Landpin, LandWatch, Land and Farm, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, and in this case, this guy got to us. I cheated and looked before we sat down to do the show. We posted this 40-acre property in the MLS as a test, and it's actually really working out. We found a really inexpensive, flat rate, no commission MLS poster. So the whole key, if you're listening to one point in this whole show, is to make sure you post it everywhere. Oh, and Craigslist and eBay too; those work really well. Mm-hmm. You also, this is a takeaway. Also, absolutely need to accept credit cards on a website, and it ends up being your own website, so that they can check out easy, because it's very conceivable, very, very conceivable. This guy doesn't happen to know about our website, that he could have just gone in the middle of the night and checked out, put it on his American Express card, and been done with the whole thing. I think we're talking about $8,000, right? Can I tell
you what really went down here too? A couple points here.
Sure.
One of the things he did ask me was about the photos. And I said, you know what? Here's the best thing anyway. Pop those GPS coordinates in your cell phone. Right now you can do this, and you're going to get sometimes even more current than I have. Some of my photos in the area and stuff like that, it's not the same as looking at Google Earth for yourself. You know what I mean? Even if I'm standing there, and I really encourage him to do that. And he's like, oh. I said, and the nice thing is, too, the dates are on there. I tell people when you're looking at these photos on Google Earth, we use Google Earth Pro. And it shows
Google Earth Pro.
Or Google Earth Pro, I can't talk, but it shows that the picture was taken, it probably says like January 3rd, 2018. You know that. I'm like, oh, that's great. So not much has happened in 3 months. I know that's a really good photo.
Plus, it's fun. You can go back to like 1994 satellite images, and you can go up to really recent. And I noticed that they're getting more current and more current and more current.
Right. They're really doing a good job. So that was really great. And that was good for him. He was like, oh, thank you. I also told him, too, in our postings that we do have, he was asking if it was like, is it staked? And so I gave him the whole discussion about that. So now he understands how that works. And he understands that we do have all the coordinates in there. I said, if you really wanted to, you could, with your cell phone, walk the property and all the things are there. And he's like, oh, okay, got it. Then you just also touched on payment. One of the things that this is seller specific. You and I are pretty much cash people, but when we try to price them so well that it's just a no-brainer.
Meaning we buy for cash and sell for cash.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people love to sell on terms. They buy a piece of property and then they resell it for $200 down and $200 a month forever.
Right. Exactly. But I don't know if this is the comment that he was asking is, our price so well. You know what I told the guy? Here's the thing. I told the guy our property is priced so well, even if you want to put on a credit card and you're making those interest payments for whatever months, it's priced that well that you're going to feel good about it. And he's like, you're right. That's really what it came down to.
I mean, you took it right out of my mouth. My whole point is about sales and marketing. There's no replacement for a fantastic price.
Right.
There's just no replacement for it. There's no replacement for a price.
That was
There's
the point.
no replacement for a couple of good maps and some good pictures on the internet.
Right.
And that property's going to sell.
Yeah, because you know what? That's the whole point. You're right, Jack. The point of Marketing 101 is you want them to look at your posting. Once they get into your posting and they read it, and if that's really what they're looking for, that right area, now they're in. Now your price is going to push them over the edge. But you got to have that initial curb appeal for them to want to walk in.
Yep. So at some point, you really have to take a look, and Jill and I have long since passed this mile marker. It's not possible to talk to every buyer. It's just not. Mm-mm. So you need to have clear instructions on your website, and you need to encourage them, as a call to action, so to speak, to check out buying a piece of real estate, rural vacant land, like they're buying something on Amazon, period. Mm-hmm. You're going to do yourself a ton of favors. All the most successful people in our group accept including us, accept credit cards online. And no, you can't use PayPal, you can't use Stripe. They have specific provisions about this product type. For whatever reason, it's beyond their risk threshold. If you go to landinvestors.com and look it up in the right-hand corner, we have cut a deal with Heartland Payment Systems. They set up an office for us because they encourage us. This credit card provider encourages real estate transactions on the internet. So we have a special deal. If you do the click-through thing through us, it's cheaper and better, and you get to the right people. You won't have to read. It took us 2 years to establish this.
I know that's one of the things that I know that our community loves, and you don't have to be a member, by the way, to use this.
Yeah, you just do it.
So spread the word. Anyone out there who is buying and selling land and has been kicked off of PayPal and kicked off of Moonclerk and kicked off of this and that one caught up. Oh, and don't forget Stripe. Stripe doesn't like it. So we finally found someone that'll do it. So exactly. And just go through us, and then if you go through us.
It's not really going through us.
Not really going through us.
We don't make any money on this.
No, it's like
full disclosure. We just they set up an office.
The point is they understand our property type, and if you go through us, they get it. They'll know exactly who you are and what's going on. So it's cool, and you can do all kinds of properties here. Thank you, Jack.
Well, you've done it again. Spent about 20 minutes listening to the Jack Jill Show. Join us tomorrow where we discuss best land sales practices. Jill and I talk about it. It's kind of an extension of what happened here today.
Yep. And we answer your question, should you have one, found on our online community. You can find it at JackJill.com or landinvestors.com. It's free.
You are not alone in your real estate ambition. I hope we got the point across that,
describe it well, photos, post it everywhere.
You know what we didn't mention is
Price it right.
the two reasons a piece of property doesn't sell, and this is any property, from apartment buildings, skyscrapers to rural vacant land. You're not getting the word out, meaning you're not posting it in enough places, or it's just plain not priced right. Those are if you and price we all have control over, complete control over. Well, we have control over both things.
Exactly. Hey, share the fun by subscribing on iTunes or wherever you're listening. While you're at it, please rate us there. We are Jack and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.